All right, we're talking about the fastest and cleanest way to get to your first paying clients so that you can hit your first 20K a month in your new coaching business, or just build a solid social proof bank for a new offer in your existing business. So here's the problem. It's classic chicken or the egg. You can't grow without proof, but you can't get proof without clients. So what do? Which comes first? I remember being right at the beginning of my business. I had no testimonials, no case studies, no real proof to point to. And every piece of advice online was like, well, Steve, just build your authority, man. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, based on what? How do you get there? Everyone's talking about doing it, but how did they get there? So I'm going to fill in the gaps for you today, because that's where most people stall out. And what most people do next is they go to the extremes. So they either start blasting 1,000 cold DMs, which feels terrible, and you probably hate that. And they usually get ignored, they don't work. Or people just kind of sit back and wait, hoping that clients will magically show up at their doorstep, and neither works. So the good news is there is a much better way. It's very simple, it's highly targeted, and I call it the 6 degrees of separation. This is how I got to my first 10K a month, 20K a month, and a bunch of my clients. And it works because you don't need 1,000 people. You don't need a massive audience. All you need is 5 people that you know. That's it. Because those 5 people, guess what? They know other people. And they connect you to the next 5 and the next 5. And suddenly you're not starting from 0 anymore. So this is what I use to go from 0 to 50K a month. And now I've helped over 100 clients do the same thing. Like Paul, for example, he started at 0, no audience, no traction. He used this approach, and within the first 3 months, he got to consistent $7,000 months. Or Meredith, who went from 0 to 7, honestly, dream clients in less than 90 days. And she did it not by blasting messages, but just being intentional with this approach. Also, Teresa, who was in the Business Builder crew, she went from her coaching business being like a side hustle to full-time in her business, doing over 10K a month. And the reason it's just so simple, it's based on something very human and timeless called relationships. Like, not algorithms, not hacks, just connections that lead to more high trust connections. So what I've found is it's a massive shortcut. It gets you straight to the people who already want to buy the thing you offer. And that's the magic of it. And this is why it's a shortcut, because there are people who already want it. You just have to find them instead of trying to convince the people who don't want it. That's when you're banging your head against the wall and your business isn't growing. So instead of that cold, spammy approach that you hate, you need a new way. So let's dive into how this new way works. All right, so this new approach, it's all about this shift. Moving from scattered and busy and still no clients to these clear blocks of work for focusing on the business and then for being with clients in your business. And so instead of this super cluttered, overwhelming exhaustion, you move to something like this. In fact, my calendar looks even better than this now, where it's just these big blocks of time for creative focus and being with clients. So instead of, in this kind of hairy overwhelm, what a lot of people tell me is they're basically just hoping clients show up. There's no clear strategy. There's no clear system. And so what we do is we move to what I call the growth plan, where we're getting crisp on your niche, a clear path to clients, both at stage 0 and 1, but also stage 2 and 3. And then these simple systems. How do you deliver your coaching in a way that scales? How do you plan your work to set your priorities, and the simple systems that you need? So if you're at this early stage of your business, or if you've launched a new offer and you're trying to grow that, you probably feel what we all do, which is this, like, you're in this range down here. It feels like I'm putting all the reps in and nothing's happening. Like, is this going to work? Am I wasting my time? How do you stick with it and feel motivated? I just wanted to make a quick point that what is always true in business is this inflection point right around here. And you never know when it's going to come, but at some point you hit this inflection point and things start to grow. And so the interesting thing about it is the inputs that you were putting in at this stage are the exact same inputs that you're putting in at this stage. It's not that you're doing something wrong. If you have a system like I'm teaching you, you're doing the right reps. It's just actually time for things to compound. So here, going from, let's say this was 100 and this became 200, you don't really feel 100, 200. But then this is like 10,000 to 20,000, you feel that jump. And so after the inflection point, the math is the same. It's just the compound effect. All right, so let's talk about your path to clients. The problem is with all the old approaches and cold sales type of approaches, you have to reach out to 100 people. And if you're lucky, you get 10 kind of in your funnel. And then best case scenario, one client comes out the bottom. And so really that means to get the 10 paying clients you need to really get momentum, you need to do 1,000 different cold conversations. Nobody wants to do that. If you're watching this video and you vibe with me, this is not the thing you want to do. So the solution is called the 6 degrees of separation. And what we do here is we shift our mindset from, I'm not trying to book a client. When I'm talking to somebody, I'm just trying to make a connection with them, a genuine human connection. Because then what can happen is the 6 degrees, the domino effect. So this person introduces me to this person. They're like, oh, I know who you should talk to. And then that person, you talk to them and they're like, oh, I have somebody you should meet. They introduce you to them. And then finally, you find the person who's already wanting what you offer. And so there's really no selling at all. It's just like a very easy sign up. But the trick is all in here. We have to stop looking at people that we're talking to as potential clients and just seeing them as a connection that will lead to more until we find the right person. Now, ironically, when you are doing this, sometimes people will be like, oh, actually, I think what you're talking about is for me. And then it's also an easy transition to, okay, well, let's talk about that. So in the Business Builder Accelerator, I have all kinds of resources of how to run these conversations, exactly what to say. It's too much to share here, but here's kind of a summarized version of what you do. First, you schedule the meetup. Then you remind them why you're meeting. Right at the beginning of the meeting, you remind them why. This is also what prevents it from feeling like a bait and switch. You share about what you're up to, your business, how you help people. And then the key is you ask for their thoughts and advice. You're not trying to sell them. You're just trying to get their advice. Who doesn't love sharing their advice? And you'd be surprised, like me and my clients, there's so many good like aha moments that we have from what people share with us that you would have never expected. And so it's kind of this nice reciprocal, like trading ideas. And then you say, all right, let me get your ideas. And is there somebody you think I should talk to next? If they know somebody you should talk to, then you tell them exactly how they can make the connection. You'll be surprised how much people overcomplicate this. So you tell them exactly how to do it. Like send me an email or send a text and say this. And then you follow up that day. And if they don't respond a week later, and that's it. Like this process, I guarantee you works, and it shortcuts having to have so many awkward conversations or exhausting cold outreach. A few important reminders is that people definitely do want to help you. They just need to know how. So we have this mindset sometimes like, oh, I don't want to bother them and I don't want to be a nuisance. If people know you or have been introduced to you by someone they trust, 99.9% of the time they want to help you. It is literally a neuroscience fact that we get a dopamine hit from helping people. The problem is not they don't want to help you, it's they don't know how. And so when we have these awkward networking conversations like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, like, is there a way you can help me? Like people don't know. They don't know what to do. So it's your job to give them the steps. That's what this is all about. Like, let me share very clearly and cleanly what I'm looking for and give you a clear ask. So then, like we said, 6 degrees later, you'll be connected with the right person and they have the problem that you solve. So they want to talk about it. Now, at that point, when someone's interested in what you do, you switch to something I call coach before the coaching. This is basically how you book new clients without having to sell and just using the coaching skills you already have. So you're uniquely positioned as a coach, as a guide, as a people helper, that you already know how to help people make a good decision. So think about it this way. The person in front of you, pretend they are already your paying client and they came to a session and they were asking, hey, can you help me to make this decision? I'm trying to make this big purchase decision. I'm not sure if I should do it. Can you help? How would you lead that session? How would you guide them through making a decision? That's exactly what you're doing here. So for me, it always helps to imagine that scenario because then I don't feel the pressure of like, oh, I need to convince them. It's just, hey, I'm helping them think through something. And so when you're doing this, you also help them experience what it's like working with you, because the way that you're interacting right now is the same kind of interaction that they'll have when they're a paying client. So it's a very simple formula. It's just a beginning, a middle, and an end. Think of it like a story. In the beginning, you're exploring like who they are, what they want, and what's keeping them stuck. This is the problem. This is like the character in the story that they're facing the crisis. I want to get to this place, but I'm stuck here. And so then in the middle, you help them explore, like, what have you already tried? What kind of options do you have? And then the important part, what would it look like if you did reach that goal? You don't want to gloss over this. You really want to help them like feel what it would be like so that they can have that hope and they can see, oh my gosh, like, yeah, I want to make that happen. But a lot of coaches stop there and that's what kills the whole thing, because it's not just optimism. Most people purchase something because of pain. And so we have to help remind them in the end that what is keeping you stuck where you're at. And so we reconnect them with what's keeping you stuck, what's the pain, and then just simply asking them like, all right, so do you want to make that happen? Do you want to get over that hurdle and get to where you're going? And if they say yes, then it's like, hey, that's exactly what I do. Do you want to hear about it? So now you're allowing them to invite you to talk about your offer. And at that point, you just simply share what it looks like to work together and then help them through making that decision. So there's a lot of nuances in that last step with dealing with objections, helping them think through their decision-making process, especially if they have like a spouse or someone else who needs to be involved with the decision. But either way, you've got these two giant home runs that happen with this approach. So instead of talking about coaching, which no one cares about, you're actually letting them feel it right now in the moment. It's really powerful. And then the second thing is you're helping them see their goals and what's possible and letting them choose if they want what you're offering. So what I always recommend when you're in this early stage, something called early client trades. This is like the secret sauce that gets people going and gets them to their first 10 and 20K a month. All you do is you list 25 people who are already in your network. You already know them. It could be anything. They don't have to look like your clients. It can just be like a neighbor, a friend, whatever. And you go have that conversation. You tell them what you're doing. You tell them about your offer and ask if they know somebody that you should talk to. Now, it's really, really, really important to use this word here. A lot of times people say, do you know anyone that I should meet? And the word anyone kills it, because what's happening in the brain is now they're like going through their mental Rolodex and they're getting like confusion. It's too broad. It's too open. So what you want to do is ask somebody. You want one person that they're thinking of. And now you're helping their brain like hone in on that one person. So you get the intro, you talk with that person, and you share, again, about what you're doing, ask if they're interested. And so when somebody is interested, then what you do is you make a trade. You say, hey, I will offer you half off the price in exchange for these three things: a case study, a Google review, and a referral. And this just works every time because it's like win-win-win. They feel good about the discount and about helping you. You get momentum because you start booking clients faster, and you get these sales assets here, which is the jet fuel for growing online through your content. This is the stuff that gives the credibility. So early client trades is the way to go. Now, this whole thing is part of what I call the roots up approach. The roots up approach is just about like, what are the actual day-to-day, the like 20% things that make an actual impact, that make the outsized difference in your business? Because it's so easy to get bogged down by like all the different tips that you hear and the trends. And then you get overwhelmed and you don't have momentum. And so in the Business Builder Accelerator, what we do is every 90 days, identify where you're at now, what's your bottleneck, where you want to be in 90 days, and what are the few right steps to get to that goal. And so it's awesome because as a group, we're staying focused, we're making progress. And I mean, you can see it every day. People are getting wins, people are booking clients, people are getting clarity. And so it's really fun to be in that together. So if it's like the right time for you to jump into something like that, then what you can do is head over to my Instagram, Coach Business Builder, and just DM me the word grow20. You'll learn more about this, but this is my secret code word that gets you all the information about what it looks like to work with me. So then, you can start getting these kind of results. Like we've got Benedicta. In her first 90 days, she went from just graduating with her ICF degree to having her first clients and feeling so excited that she was making money helping people, doing what she loves. Or Joe, who was super burned out, had a few different jobs. And the win for him was like having a clear system. So he knew where to focus, and every day he knew what to do. Or Teresa was really fun to see her progress going from a side hustle to consistent 10K months. And now she's way beyond that. But again, it was just knowing where to focus in her marketing. Or Paul had this really fun story where he wasn't even sure if he wanted a job or to dive into his business. And he, in 3 months, got to consistent 7K months doing his consulting business. And he had this breakthrough of realizing like he was a generalist. And so he would always kind of downplay his skills and abilities. And now he really knows his superpowers, and he's been helping clients just get awesome results. So this was the last of a 5-part video series. I call it the email mini course because if you sign up, link is in the description. Over the next 5 days, you're going to get each day a short, like 2-minute read in your inbox, along with a video like this that corresponds. And you can sign up there. Also, I'll pop the video right here that is gets you started back at the beginning of the series. And if you haven't yet, just subscribe to my channel here so you can check out more of the videos.